Hello, we are Jeff and Pamela Stevens, and today's reflection is from John chapter 4, verses 7 to 10. To set the scene, Jesus and his disciples were travelling from Judea to Galilee, a distance of about 50 miles. They stopped about halfway for some rest in a place called Sychar, at Jacob's well. They were hungry and thirsty, so the disciples went off to buy food while Jesus rested at the well. The passage is verses 7 to 10. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" Jews do not share things in common with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that's saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The key verse is verse 9. How is it that you, a Jew, asked me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?
Now, this poor Samaritan woman wasn't even given a name. Samaritans were despised by the Jews. Verse 9 in the Message says, Jews wouldn't even be seen dead with Samaritans. The Jews claimed they were purebred descendants of Abraham, whereas Samaritans were of mixed race, an early example of blatant racism. She would have been ignored also because she was a woman and had been married several times. Yet Jesus started a conversation with her. She was clearly amazed that he spoke to her. Jesus needed a drink from the well. He had no means of getting water from it, but the woman had a bucket. He needed to ask for help, but in doing so he made himself vulnerable. He took the risk of being severely criticised for talking to her, let alone asking for help. When you ask someone for help, you're acknowledging your need and also your humility. I can't do this on my own. We're usually too proud to ask for help. In this exchange, Jesus identifies her spiritual need, which of course she didn't understand. He relates his physical need for water with her spiritual need for living water, the living water that leads to eternal life. She was amazed. If you read the rest of the chapter, you'll see that Jesus explained to her more about salvation. Her eyes were opened, and this encounter changed her community. Let's come back to that key verse. How is it that you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink? In asking for help, Jesus literally reached out to her, and in doing so, showed that his mission was for all people, irrespective of anything. That's why we have those wonderful words of inclusiveness on our church porch window. Whatever your physical ability, colour, education, gender, sexuality, whether rich or poor, Jesus invites you into his church. If you haven't read these words, we would urge you to read them and read them again.
The Christmas story starts with Jesus' birth in the most humble of circumstances. His life and teaching were full of love and inclusivity. The Easter story shows again Jesus' vulnerability and humility in his betrayal, trial and crucifixion. He is our servant king. And a prayer to finish. Jesus, thank you that your mission was for all people. Thank you that you made yourself vulnerable in your birth, throughout your life, as in this conversation at the well, and in your death. Please help us to follow in the footsteps of our servant King. Amen.
Amen.